Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Steel Target Paint Podcast. I'm Jeff Jones.
And I'm Steve Foster. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, Steve. You know, we're here at the end of the year, and you reached out for one more podcast, and I think it's a great idea. And we all went through quite a harrowing Saturday evening. For those that wanted to get into the World Speed Shooting Championships, were you able to get all the guns you wanted in the match?
I did, Jeff, and I'm fortunate that I had a couple of slots ahead of time for the Super Squad, which I'm thankful for. Because, you know, outside of shooting with Super Squad, you know, great people on those squads, but, you know, it just took my stress level in half by registering. But, man, it's just, you know, some people said that it sold out in 7 minutes and 10 minutes. I'd probably argue it was gone in probably about 2 minutes just because not everybody was squatted yet. So by the time people squatted, you know, I guess there was some sort of glitch there towards the end where people signed up and their squads available. I'm not sure what happened outside of breaking practice score again this year. But, yeah, so I'm thankful shooting 4 guns this upcoming year. And the most important part is I got my daughter registered to shoot Sunday afternoon with me, so that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most. How about you? You get everything squared away?
I did. I got 5 guns in, and that's what I'd hoped to shoot. You know, I definitely, you know, went to the website and hit enter, and it was 5 minutes. Okay, great. And come back. 1 minute. Okay, great. Hit it again. 27 seconds. Okay, here we go. Get ready. And I had, you know, credit card number saved in the copy-paste buffer, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And, you know, when it was all said and done, I had 5 Carry Optics guns registered.
Oh, so you did away with the revolvers this year.
Well, you know, I had a couple people ask me, and, you know, the goal is to get in the match.
Right.
The goal is to try to get a squad you're hoping to shoot on. Most times, at least on a day. Some people like to start on certain stages. And of course, you know, the order varies by the match you're at. But yeah, my goal was to get in. So all the guns I initially registered were just Carry Optics. I didn't care. Just get in the match, get it paid, get a squad, and then go back. And now I've edited them to the guns that I want to shoot on those days, which could change.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know if it happened last year, but there was no approval or anything like that. It took you directly to payment, and then you could squad. I think it was different last year, but this one was a little bit more. 2 years ago, this one was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year and this year were the same. Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, I had posted something on Facebook that said, you know, it sold out in 11 minutes, and there was a number of people that had a lot of different ideas on, you know, their feelings on how to make it better, and most of them were good ones. The problem is that it is a supply and demand type thing, and, you know, from the Steel Shooting Challenge shooting organization's perspective, if there were 704 people that signed up for single stack, that's great. They've got 704 entries. And if you've got a person shooting 1 gun or 2 gun, you're shooting 4, I'm shooting 5. I'm sure there's going to be people that are shooting 6 and possibly 7. I shot 8 last year.
Wow.
It's a supply and demand, and, you know, having fast fingers. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Nate McCord or Nate Gibson. One of them posted on the thread that I had posted, and it was like the cat beating on the keyboard, and it was hilarious because that's how I felt. But it's gonna be another good match.
So somebody asked me this question, and, you know, I apologize. I was going to reach out to you ahead of time to get you a little bit more prepared. So last year, I say last year, a couple weeks ago at the World Speed Shoot, it wasn't that long ago,
I know.
there was, 620 guns, somewhere in there, but how many unique people shot? Do you remember, Jeff, off the top of your head? was it like a 3-to-1 ratio, like 200
Yeah,
people for
I'm not
600 guns?
100% sure. Given me about 2 minutes as we're talking to play around with a little Excel wizardry, I can figure that out. I wanted to say, because I think it was 650 guns, and I want to say it was 175 people, but it could have been more.
Okay. Yeah, so somewhere in that realm. Because, a lot of people are, how does USPSA address this going forward, so on and so forth. And in talking with Mike a little bit on a previous podcast, I think he alluded to one of the solutions is, hey, let's sell the thing out and then go from there, and then maybe break it into different matches, like maybe a centerfire match, and then maybe a rimfire match, and then maybe a PCC match if it gets too big. But I think we're close to that. I don't think we're there yet. But I just wonder how many people would end up shooting multiple matches. Like what we just talked about. You shot 8 guns, and I shot 5 last year, and I'm shooting, 4 this year. If it was multiple matches, would I travel down to shoot a centerfire world speed shoot? No. But if I'm there, will I shoot a centerfire gun? Yeah, probably. So it'd be interesting to see.
Well, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept, and think about at Talladega where it's going to be for the next 3 years. In the morning, you've got 8 slots per squad. So you've got 8 times 8, 64 guns. In the afternoon, you've got 10 slots. So you've got 80. So in a day, there's going to be, what does that work out to be? 144 guns being shot. There's more than that in at least one, if not 2 of the divisions right now in the World Speed Shoot.
Sure.
So to say that, and then what you're doing is you're saying, well, what day is, okay, Wednesday or Thursday is going to be rimfire rifle open. Well, you're going to lock out a lot of people that can't get up there often.
Right.
So it's a tough situation. You can't please everybody.
Sure.
I had people, saying they couldn't even get in, which I don't know if it was their computer or what. It's unfortunate. So I'm here looking at the match breakdown. Okay, so the biggest division right now, technically it would just barely fit. Rimfire Rifle Open has 119 entries in it.
Okay.
And then the next closest is PCCO at 93, and RFPO.
Rimfire Pistol Open. Yeah.
Yep, and Rimfire Pistol Open at 92, and we've had this discussion. Prior. You've got half the match or better is going to be in those 3 divisions, and that's great. That's what people want to shoot. So, but getting back to your question about last year, looking at it, there were 632 people shot the match. Unique total of people was 243.
Okay.
So it was almost 2-to-1.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Okay.
I was thinking that. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
And then if we just play a little round here, so Jake shot 11, Jessica Smith shot 8, Foley shot 8, I shot 8, Cole Bush shot 8, Lance Bratcher Jr. and Bridget and Emily each shot 7. Chris Barrett, Tom Nalen, Steve Hart, and Nate Gibson shot 6. And then you've got, you were in the group of 5. There were, looks like 10 people that shot 5. And 4 seems to be one of the bigger number of guns to shoot. Looks like there was 152 people that shot 4. 3 was 111. Oh, 2 was huge. 2 gun shooters was 170, and then 1 gun shooters was 61. And this is something I've actually, tried to point out to some match directors. Now, granted, this is the world speed shoot. Everybody's trying to maximize the number of opportunities to shoot. But most matches, this match had about 10% of the entries of people shooting 1 gun. But a lot of your area matches and even your state matches, and we experienced at the West Florida, it gets closer to 20 or 25% of the people are just shooting 1 gun. And this is why I've always been an advocate for a fixed price on the number of guns.
Yeah, so like $50 each as an example,
exactly.
Right?
That's the number that we hone in on, at the West Florida with $5 per gun going to those wonderful painters so the competitors can just focus on shooting.
Sure. Well, Jeff, I was shooting the local Griffin Gun Club match this past weekend, and Glenn, he's the match director. I've known Glenn for, 13, 14 years or so. He's the one that suckered me into starting the Shoot Steel Challenge of all things, so it's all his fault where all this started. But he's a fantastic guy. But
did you hear that, Teresa? We have the person to go point to. Okay.
Yeah. And Glenn's phone number is
exactly.
But he issues almost right around the same time that I did, so I feel for him. So I was talking to him for the second time this past weekend at the match, and I asked him. I said, "Look, a lot of people are asking me because Georgia's my home state here. Are we going to do the Georgia State match or what?" And he said, "Unfortunately, no, they're not going to. Of course, COVID-related concerns. The board does not want to have a large group because the Georgia State match for the last couple of years has been the largest state-level match. I think last year was right around 350 guns maybe registered. It was a couple of years before, well over 300 guns. So it's a pretty prominent match, and for a while it's really kicked off the Steel Challenge shooting season. And unfortunately, due to that, as well as his range officer, his crew is a little bit older, so he says, there's been a lot of ROs that are pretty concerned about the virus and whatnot. And so instead of putting people in an uncomfortable situation, he's going to forego it. So unfortunately, that's happening. But we've talked to a guy named Jamie, and he's trying to round something up, maybe to have a match down at Little River down in Valdosta, Georgia. Not sure if it'll be called the Georgia State match, but around the same time, maybe end of February, end of March. But this will be their first level 2 match, and they run a great local match down there. It's got a special place in my heart because, Jeff, that's where I shot my 58 was down there and his match. So it's a great little club, and hopefully he'll get everything together. And I know he's working on it right now. He just texted me. Hopefully he can get things squared away. We'll get a name for the match. We'll get it out on Practice Score and get some information out there. But I think if he does get this match together, I think it could be a pretty well-attended match, since the Georgia State match is not going to be online. So we'll see how all that ends up.
That Georgia State match was again that the first level 2 or higher match of the year. I'd been there for 3 years. I planned on going every year I could make it. Once you suffered through the match 3 years ago when it was like 37 degrees when we started shooting, do you remember that? Match was like end of February and it was freezing.
Oh, so here's what happened, and I begged Glenn to move it because it was always the first weekend in February. And I said, no, man, you got to push that till March. Just give it just a couple more weeks to warm up. And then coincidentally what happened, not last year, but the year before, it conflicted with Super Bowl Sunday or Super Bowl weekend. So he's like, all right, Steve, we'll move it. And, yeah, so it was instead of, 28 degrees out, it was like 39 degrees out when we started shooting. So that was okay.
Well, I talked to Jamie, and, hopefully the club is going to agree, and he's going to put one on. Just in talking with him, I think it would be a great match. I suggested he call it the FC match. And that would be the F
for COVID.
Explicative COVID match. Yes, exactly. And that is nothing against Glenn. I think he's making the right choices because he's concerned about his RO staff, and I think that's good. And quite frankly, while I think the match would have been well attended, we're seeing the World Speed Shoot selling out. I think a lot of people are starting to feel the impact of ammo and the component shortage that is happening.
Yeah, 100% agree.
A lot of people, I know here at the Wyoming club, we're going to, I've heard word that we're going to go to an every other week format. So there'll be 2 matches every other week, then 2 matches a week. And I think part of that has to do with, a lot has to do with the ammo shortage. The fact that, we still haven't figured out COVID yet, although I will admit that we've been very fortunate at the WAC. We had one of our shooters, his daughter got it, and, he socially distanced himself and quarantined himself, and I've heard of no other cases happening. And that's not to say it's not true. It's not to say I don't believe in it. I believe in it totally.
Right.
But, outdoor environment, you've just got less of a chance of catching.
Yeah,
This isn't a political show. This is the Steel Target Paint podcast. So let's talk some
Heck
more.
Yeah, Jeff.
So,
hey, talk about, you went down to the Ultimate Steel Challenge match. How was that? Was that your first year, or did you go last year?
No, I went last year and wouldn't have missed it unless I didn't have any ammo or my car broke down this year. Had a blast. Didn't shoot as many guns this year, just decided to shoot 2 guns. It's a lot of fun. The range there, the Volusia Gun and Hunt Club, is now owned by 2 shooters. And we may have mentioned this. It's Lloyd Corney and Gorka Ibanez. And the fact that you've got 2 shooters who own the range, so they're doing things for the shooters.
Right.
They've got the 8 stages of Steel Challenge dedicated on 8 bays.
That's
so
awesome.
You can always go there. As a member, I believe you can go there, and for $10 you can shoot all day. As a non-member, I think you can pay $35 and you can shoot all day. And that's in a practice mode. As far as matches are concerned, those are run by our good friend Greg Kearse, and again, he puts on a good match. He's, the stages were set up properly. His wife would come around probably, I think I saw her 4 or 5 times each session with, water, snacks, lunch. And on Saturday night, they put on a nice pulled pork dinner from a local barbecue place. And it was fantastic. And it was a lot of fun shooting the 4 retired stages.
That's awesome.
The the general feeling was, and I've actually heard Max Michel say this, get rid of Pendulum and bring back Flying M. And for those
that's
of you
the one where you shoot. That's the one where you shoot. Is that the one where you shoot the 2 outside targets, and then you go up to another box and shoot the remaining 3?
Actually, you shoot the 2 inner targets, then move to the front box and shoot the outer 2, and then the stop plate, which is dead center. And it's a fun stage. They were all fun. Double Trouble of course, was developed early on before rimfire was even considered part of the sport. This year, the low ready was a little lower than it was last year, because last year you
Really?
were virtually pointing at the bottom plate when you're at the top of the down ready. But no, it was a lot of fun. I think there was 105 guns that shot the match, and it was a great time. Saw a lot of good friends. Chris came down. Of course, he crushed it. I think I heard Steve Lintz say that if you took away the four stages, the times on those four stages, he ended up shooting like a 57.
Yeah. I talked to Chris the other night. He said he had a blast. I think he shot a 79 overall. He
Yes,
said, yeah, those
something
eight.
like that.
Yeah, he said those eight shot a 57. He's like, man, I just felt I was in second gear all day. And I said, I'd take that. He said, no kidding. He said, just felt super clean. I saw Reagan Hearn out there with a bunch of coffee cups. Holy cow, she's got to start drinking coffee or tea or something.
Yeah,
maybe hot chocolate.
She definitely crushed it. There were a number of people, the juniors that I work with, the Lander family. I think out of the six of them, four juniors and the parents, I think I have 5 awards to give them tomorrow during our training session. So
awesome.
that was a lot of fun. And Greg, it was a level 1 match. Because he shot the 4 extra stages, it could not be considered a level 2 match. So it was a level 1 match. And that afforded Greg the ability to not have to follow any guidelines in the rules regarding awards.
Right.
He was a little heavy in the awards, which is nice because a lot of people are going to remember the match because a lot of people, got a coffee mug.
That's cool. And, it was great seeing some of the video and pictures. I saw Kelly Perez and Lori and with Moose, and then saw Brody Murray out there. And,
Yep.
Eddie was saying, hey, this kid's starting to shoot some 2s and maybe sub-2 strength. And I don't know how old Brody is. He's probably, 12 maybe, somewhere in there.
I saw Eddie. I saw them very at the end. They were, like Chris, we were exactly half a match apart, so we actually never got to see each other. As I would come around the berms to go in the back bays, they were heading towards the other stages. But I think I know Eddie and Brody shot the OK Corral match the day before, and if I'm not mistaken, it was either at the OK Corral match or the Ultimate Steel Challenge where Brody bumped up to the B class.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he was very excited about that. Well, there was another good set of friends that were at the match. Rick and Evie Wynn. And I can't wait to get mine. But both of them are shooting the new Wiland chassis.
Heck yeah.
And let me tell you, hot beep. Because this is a family show, so I can't swear.
It's G-rated.
Yes, it's G-rated. So I will put it this way: hot stuff. That is banging. Let me tell you. And it was, what's really cool is here you've got the Wiland chassis, one shot by Evie, one shot by Rick. Totally configured differently to meet the needs of each of those shooters.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've got a pair of them, and man, I by the time this podcast comes out, I've actually posted a video out on Instagram and YouTube, and as well as out on Facebook. Just giving I try to keep it to 10 minutes or less, just kind of walking through the chassis with some of the different features to make sure that people understand. And it really is a chassis designed by a shooter for shooters. And, through my partnership with Todd, he's the one that makes my, the Falcon compensators. We've had a lot of discussion about what shooters want, and my biggest frustration in helping anybody, let alone a junior shooter, is getting a stock that fits you. And it's virtually impossible. I mean, I think Volkortsen did a great job with their they're 8-pound stock. It's more for precision shooting. We got adjustable comb and
Yep.
all that kind of jazz. But it's heavy, and some people, if you're strong, big and strong like Kobe, can shoot it. But us mere mortals, no, it's an 8-pound gun. But it's just a level of adjustability, and there's really, I call it an arms race, pun intended, that people are coming out with all these chassis, and because everybody knows that to transition the gun, you need something that's light, and we won't go through the other chassis, but that's what Todd and Wiland USA did. Is they came out with a super lightweight chassis, one of, if not the lightest chassis out on the market, and it's the most adjustable chassis that I've seen for a 1022. You could probably argue there may be some precision chassis that are out there, something like that, but that's a world I don't even play in, but not that light. And so just a couple of quick highlights, Jeff, while we're talking about it, is it comes with a 1.1-inch forearm tube, and so that's it's carbon fiber, so it's super light. And then what a lot of people didn't realize is that you can access the trigger pins in the chassis. You can pop those out and pull the trigger forward, and you actually take the trigger out of the gun while leaving it in the chassis, which is pretty slick. But I recommend the TK trigger pins, the cross pins, because they got a ball detent on them, so they stay in there. He's got his own grip that's got a little shelf on the side for your thumb, or I call it the thumb rest, and it's canted like a 1911, whereas a lot of other grips are kind of forward, but there's probably an inch and a quarter of adjustment there. So like one of the things that drove me nuts about the Blackhawk Axiom that I shot for last year, that stock, I liked it because it was light, and I dropped my times because of transition time, but the grip was further forward about 3/4 of an inch compared to a lot of other stocks. So this one, it's purely adjustable. You can use a regular AR grip on it, but you have to make just you have to trim it up just a tad. So those are really important adjustments and features. But then the back half of the chassis is really where I think the magic truly is in the design. So it's got, we'll call it a buffer tube for a lack of a better term, but it's the tube that holds the butt plate on. It moves up and down. It's got to be at least an inch of travel. And so I saw a post, I didn't comment on it last night, but there's somebody out there who said, hey, I had to raise my iron sights up 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch or something like that because they sat too low on the gun. Well, they're using another chassis with a non-adjustable buffer tube on it, and so that's why they had to adjust it. So with a Wiland chassis, you don't need to get custom-made height sights and that type of thing. And so it really, you can get the type of cheek weld you want, and then it also, you're starting to ship them now, has got an adjustable cheek riser that you can get for the stock. And then back in June, when I held the first prototype and it was all made out of plastic, it was 3D printed, the magic, I told Todd at the time, and he looked at me like I had my head screwed on sideways. I said, the coolest part about this thing is the button stock. He's like, really? Yeah, it just really sets in your shoulder. It's got a slight curve to it, and you can cant the butt plate, if you will, to the side if you want. You can rotate it 360 degrees, and then you can move the butt stock or the butt plate forward and back, so you can get that first right shot, get that cheek weld that you're looking for. And so just the level of adjustability for it is absolutely fantastic. There's two other options that I talk about in the video, and I don't have them yet. Is one, there's a hand stop that goes on the front of the chassis. So I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it, but the intent there is give someplace for your hand to rest as you pull in the gun. The other thing, and some people are like, well, you spend all this time and effort making the super lightweight chassis, but we came up with a system to put 4 1/4-pound weights in the back, so you can adjust up to a pound of weight, put it in that buffer tube. And the intent or theory behind it is, at least my thought is that if I have some weight further back, it may allow me to stabilize the gun, but also whip it a little bit quicker, knowing that transitions are pretty much the name of the game if you want to shoot ultra low and competitive scores.
Well, yeah, and again, to your point, it's the overall weight does matter, but it's also where the weight is.
Yep.
You know, if you've got a, you know, it's real simple. You know, grab a 5-pound weight, stick your arm straight out, and swing it, and try to stop it on a dime. It's going to be very difficult. Now, have that weight back behind your elbow, and you can. It's still 5 pounds, but you don't have as much force out there with it moving. I had to look it up because I saw the post. I'm going to read the post, and the post was, finally building an RFI rifle. My big fat head didn't work with the super low sights, so I had Hawk Creek Armory raise them. They are perfect.
Yep.
That was compliments of our friend, Stephen Hart.
Yep. Hey, you throw his name out there. Love Steve like a brother. Great
Absolutely.
Guy. And I get his frustration. I think what they did is super, super clean. However, instead of spending that type of money, get a Wiland chassis, and you can adjust it to multiple shooters.
Yep.
One of the two other features I want to talk about. One is that when you insert a mag into the chassis, if you don't have like the Kurt Grimes base pads, which I highly recommend, there's actually a cutout up in the chassis, so you can actually grab onto the magazine, and not a lot of other chassis I've seen have that feature. And it does take advantage of the lightweight carbon fiber for that buttstock buffer tube, if you will. And what you can do is you can cut that down to the length that you want. So if you're a super tall person, reach out to Todd. He's going to start offering an extra long one. And just be careful when you're cutting carbon fiber. It's pretty easy to, like with a hacksaw or something like that. You can put an angle on it to mimic the kind of jet. Just got to be careful of the little splinters that could be caused by cutting carbon fiber. So just be careful if you do that, but it's super, super easy to cut. It's interesting how sturdy it is, but it's relatively easy to cut with like a hacksaw or something along those lines. So
and that's for which part?
It's a home run. The buffer tube.
The buffer tube. Okay, so it is a fixed buffer tube.
Yep, but you can, there's a slight adjustment on there when you move the buttstock, maybe an inch of travel. You get that level of adjustment, but if you want it, like 3 inches shorter, you're going to have to cut the carbon fiber tube, and you can buy a replacement. And whole list was on the website. You can buy replacement tubes if you want, that type of thing. So
okay, and you only get a hacksaw. I shouldn't try to cut it with like my Ginsu knife, right? Get a good.
Well, blade. You may want to try with your Dremel, because that's what all gunsmiths do.
If Todd's listening, Todd's like, yeah, use the Ginsu, and then I'll sell you another one. And then try it with a butter,
right.
And then I'll sell you another one.
Absolutely.
No. Well, I've got one on order, soon to be shipped. Super secret notification. It's being shipped to you, Steve. Because
we're gonna do some magic, huh?
Yes, we're gonna get some magic on that stock, and as we talked, we're gonna do a little preview of what's gonna happen, but we're not gonna show the full engraving until I get it in my chubby little hands. But and let's talk about that engraving for a minute, man. You have been crushing some engraving on that thing. That is really cool.
No, I appreciate it, man. I'm having the time of my life, because I like to be a creative type person, and of course I love guns and stocks and chassis and all that kind of stuff. So it's allowing me to get the creative side out of me, and I've had to learn how to Cerakote. So I've done more than a handful of chassis and stocks, and I've got one that I put out there, my Axiom stock from last year. I put a battle worn finish on it and laser engraved the Axiom stock with the Switchquote logo and the Magnum Research logo. Came out super, super, super clean. That's the best part about having an engraving machine. And, I actually took a Glock and cut a slide with it. So it's interesting to see, based on the settings and adjustments, you can cut through a Glock slide, or you can turn it way down to make sure you're just removing one layer of Cerakote at a time. So you're not, baking a stock or anything like that. But super proud of how the chassis have come out, the stocks have come out, and Joseph Renfro, he trusted me to Cerakote a chassis for him, and lasered it all up, and Cerakote the base fast form, lasered it all up, and that came out really, really cool. So it's been cool. I've had people reach out to me. Hey, if you got ideas, heck, I'm having a great time here. Reach out to me and let me know what you want laser engraved. Maybe we do some sort of Cerakote for you and laser engrave it.
Well, I'm just
having fun, man.
Right, based on the, I saw your Axiom stock, and that was pretty sweet. But based on the fact that Axiom stock is, of course, it's a hard plastic, what's the potential for stippling?
So you're not the first person that's asked me that.
Of course not.
I've got an idea. I've got an idea to do like a classy type stipple pattern, and so I've got another Blackhawk Axiom stock sitting on my workbench, and I've got some ideas. So the next one I Cerakote, you will see a stippled grip on it, and yeah, it's going to be super, super cool. So it's just the creative side, Jeff. I love doing stuff like that and having cool one-off stuff, and yeah, it's just, man, I'm having a blast.
Well, Steve, you're of course all over Facebook. We're all over Facebook, but like if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the easiest way for them to talk to you about, the ability to get something laser engraved?
Yeah, I think you can reach out to me on either my private or my public Steve Foster Better Shooting Facebook page.
Let me give out your phone number. Hold on, I got your phone number right here. Let me give that
out. Where'd you get off the bathroom wall, Jeff?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or
wait. It said. Here's what it said. It said, for good lasering, call.
Oh. I had to mark through what else and write in lasering. Or just send me an email at stevefostershooting@gmail.com, and we'll get you hooked up. Got a cool got a junior shooter that I won't say who it is because his dad, I'm not sure is involving him yet, but we're going to do up a super cool chassis with some cool logo and that type of thing for him. So yeah, I enjoy that type of thing. So it's gonna be a blast.
So I gotta ask the one question, because of course, how long did it take you to learn this stuff, and have there been any monumental failures?
Woo! It's interesting. There's if you know anything about CO2 lasers and a fiber laser, I've got a fiber laser. It's a 50 watt. If you were to buy one domestic in the United States, they are super expensive. I mean, they really start at 20 grand and go well north of that pretty darn quick. You can spend 50 grand pretty quick. And I talked to somebody else that's a friend of the podcast that's got a couple of them that I think they're 100 watt lasers, and they start off at $100,000 a piece. So you can get up there pretty quick. I ended up buying a Chinese model, which is great for a fraction of the price, but there's not a lot of training on it, so I'm having to figure out a bunch of stuff. And I would say, it's not just so much the laser, it's all the software and how to vector something and how to get it brought into the program, which that's probably the part that I was most nervous with. So the basic stuff, letters, numbers, that's pretty easy right out of the box. To get into pictures and that type of stuff, it's a little bit more. But every time you use a different type of medium, such as, engraving brass is different than engraving stainless, engraving plastic, it's all different. If you want to cut through something, you may have seen on my Creekside Custom Lasering Facebook page, I cut through a CWA frame-mounted optic mount, and that turned out pretty cool, but it took some adjustment. If you don't have the right settings, that could take an hour, whereas if you have the right settings, it could take, about 60 seconds. And so it's just figuring out all that stuff, and probably the thing that I've got the most stacked up in the corner of the shop is the rotary thing to do cups. For whatever reason, I haven't mastered that. I could definitely engrave a cup, but with a small logo. I can't get it to wrap around the entire cup without having a little bit of it's a timing issue, and I haven't figured that out yet. But all the other stuff has gone pretty well. But I've certainly got a pile of oops. So,
I could see you going to the local the scrap metal yard going, how much for some scrap metal? I just take some. Great. That's what I need. I need to make a smiley face, and then I need to do a star, and then I need to do my name, and make sure I understand how to do this before I start putting on people's guns. And didn't you do one? Did you engrave a rock?
I've engraved probably 15 rocks. I haven't put them all out there. Yeah, because some people, don't want their stuff out there, and that's cool.
Sure.
But I've engraved several rocks. My wife, she's been into that for the last couple of years, and so she's painted some, and I've done quite a few memorial stuff for people. Probably the coolest one we did is somebody that the girls play tennis with. It's their coach, and she's a good friend of my wife. She unfortunately lost her son a couple of years ago, and so my wife asked her, because of the anniversary of his passing here not too long ago. So my wife asked her, what's your favorite memory of him or being together? And she said, this time that we're out in Hawaii. So my wife created, painted a beach scene with a couple palm trees, and then I engraved silhouettes of them in another part of the scene. So that turned out exceptionally well, and, of course, brought her to tears and all that kind of stuff. And so I've enjoyed doing that type of thing as well, and I've got a couple of other things in motion right now that's outside of the gun world, but it's still pretty cool stuff. So yeah, more to come on that, but we're having fun, and if anybody's got a project out there you want to partner with, let me know. But yeah, Jeff, the first time I took a laser to a $3,000 JP, I was a little nervous.
And rightly so. But having known you for a couple of years now, your meticulous nature has paid off, and you're definitely producing some fine quality engraving. So congratulations on that.
I appreciate it. And a lot of it, I'm going to be engraving a lot of base pads and those types of things, which I've done quite a few of those, but people have escalated quickly to full-blown, firearms, and then certainly I've done a lot on stocks and chassis, which I've enjoyed. So, yeah, I'm just having a good old time.
Have you engraved your Steel Challenge steel set yet?
I have not, but you know what I'm going to do is, and I've got it on my to-do list, is I'm going to take my top shelf off my range tactical gear cart, and I'm going to engrave that bad boy. So,
nice.
Yeah, huh? Let the cat out of the bag, but I think that ought to be pretty cool. So awesome. I can do an area 12 inches by 12 inches, so that's a pretty good size engraving. So.
Well, fantastic. Yeah. Well, Steve, as always, it's great talking with you. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. I wish everyone happy holiday and a safe holiday time. Hopefully you're able to spend some time with family safely and friends. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, hopefully before the World Speed Shooting Championships, but if that's what it has to be, that's what it has to be. But, as we talked earlier, seems like that match in Valdosta may happen. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're certainly going to do everything we can to help Jamie get it rock and rolling. And before I leave the Wiland chassis thing, if you want a discount, it's 5% off. Use Foster05. You get 5% off your chassis. Pretty much equates to free shipping. And then for SteelTargetPaintArrayStore.net, ST Podcast 10 will get you 10% off there. And thank you to all of our sponsors for the team of Steel Target Paint. We've had a great season despite how unique of a season it was. Thanks to Larry and the Steel Target Paint RangeStore.net family. And we look forward to some very exciting things in 2021. And thank you to everybody for their support for the podcast. It means a lot to us.
Yep, and thank you to every one of you people out there that are listening. We really appreciate it. Steve and I, this is a labor of love. If we get 10 people that listen to an episode, but they all liked it, we consider it a success. This is not monetized. This is something that we do just to have some fun. If you've listened to more than one episode, we like to laugh. We didn't bring up the home range. I kind of did. Yeah, I said, your own, your Steel Challenge set. But, I love that running joke, and it's great. And I just want to thank everybody, and again, wish you all a safe and happy holiday.
Same to you, Jeff. Take care, man.
All right. Bye-bye.